It is blackberry season, and we are here at N40 Blackberries, just north of Stillwater, Oklahoma, which is a U-pick farm. And joining me is Darla Black. Darla, you guys started this amazing blackberry U-pick farm about 8 years ago, is that correct?
That was when the first picking occurred, was 8 years ago.
But there's a lot of work that went into it prior to that. Tell us a little bit about, like, as a U-pick, how you kind of got started into that.
Okay, so 2 years prior to the first picker coming, we began doing some research, attending conferences. We loved fruit, and we wanted to see if it was possible to share that with other people. Actually, my husband had said, let's plant about 50 blackberry plants. And I said, do you know how much work that is? And I said, if we're going to go to all that trouble, let's just plant 500 and open a U-pick. And so today in 2023, we have 1,600 plants and we have a U-pick.
Wow, it's beautiful out here. And so you started out doing research on cultivars and irrigation. Talk through a little bit about some of those maintenance things and how important those are for the success of your U-pick.
So blackberries are biennial plants. So that means they have 2 different types of canes. So the canes with the fruit are the flora canes.
Okay.
These canes that are a little different in color and don't have fruit are the prima canes.
And they've got all that new vegetation coming on them. Right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So this will have the fruit a year from now.
Okay.
Okay, so when these canes finish, you can see how dark and they're harder. When they finish fruiting, then we have to come in at the base of the plant and cut all of those out.
Okay.
And then we use these nice little clips, and we'll take these canes and clip them up and train them to grow the way that we want them to. So we have about 15,000 of these little clips out here. So you can imagine it takes a while to clip those up.
Right.
But 1 year I kept track of cutting out canes, and we did about half of what we have, about 800 plants, and it took us each about 500 hours.
Wow.
So 1,000 hours just cutting out the old canes.
Right, and that's why you have such beautiful rows here and easy to access fruit that's on the sides of it and everything, but that's a lot of labor, and that's just the pruning. I mean, there's different spray and fertilizer and irrigation that you have to maintain as well. So
correct.
It's a lot of process, right?
Yes.
So tell me a little bit about some of the concerns, the major concerns with blackberries in Oklahoma. Is it fungus or is it insects?
Both, but fungus is a real issue because we tend to get a lot of rain all at the same time, and things don't dry out well, so it sets everything up to grow fungus.
Right.
And that's another part of the work. You don't want to get too many canes, you know, too bushy. You want to keep it kind of cut down so that you discourage the fungal growth.
Okay. All right.
And, you know, there's always bugs and that kind of thing. So I spend a lot of my time during season on my hands and knees, literally, picking up anything that's fallen, anything that, you know, a customer might pick a berry and decide, oh, I don't want that one, and they throw it down.
So sanitation is important in that role.
Very, very important. If you don't keep it clean, you're inviting rodents, insects. We already host raccoons frequently, and you know, and they just come. So we've actually have an exclusionary fence around to keep rabbits and to try to keep armadillos out.
Oh, okay, okay. Well, it looks like you definitely know what you're doing here. Tell me a little bit about being a U-pick, kind of what your experience is for your customers when they come out here.
Sure. When they first arrive, we always try to greet them, and we explain to them that it's necessary to wash hands before we come out because it prevents pathogen transfer, both human and plant pathogens that they may have been around.
Right.
And so they do that. We give them a 1-gallon bucket lined with a biodegradable bag. They bring it out and pick, and then they bring it back to us and we weigh it. And we're always happy to come out with them and show them what a ripe berry is. We explain that. Blackberries do not ripen once you pick them. So if you pick red ones, they're gonna taste like very tart, hard berries.
Okay. And your season of picking, kind of tell me about that season and how you've got several cultivars to bridge that season as well.
Right. So we go about 6 weeks.
Okay.
Starting the beginning of June.
June, okay.
Although that has been over the last 3 years getting later and later.
Okay, yeah.
So the second full week of June was when we started this year.
Okay.
And if we get very, very hot temperatures, we may not go 6 weeks. It may just be 4.
Okay.
And we have Natchez is the very first one that blooms. So you're going to have your berries first there. But we have a number of cultivars that are successive. They may overlap a little bit, but they're successive in ripening so that we can lengthen the season.
Okay. Can you tell me about some of those cultivars and how they differ as far as the actual fruit, either the size or the flavor?
Sure. So Natchez is a favorite because it's a really huge berry. Okay. It's really juicy and good. It's early, great for jams and those kind of things. Osage comes on just at the end of Natchez. It has a much higher Brix unit or sugar content, and people really love to just eat those. They're good for cooking as well. They're good for any purpose, but people enjoy the sweeter ones. The newest varieties are Ponca and Caddo, and they both have a higher Brix unit. And then the very last one that we have is Apache, and it's also a very large berry with a very unique flavor. Blackberries are like, I tell people, like Granny Smith apple doesn't taste like a delicious apple. So here you get to experience what different blackberries taste like.
Right. And some of these may have thorns, some don't have thorns, or are they all thornless, or all?
These are all thornless because I picked a lot of thorn blackberries growing up.
Yeah, I was going to say, so if you don't want to go out into the wild, here's a safer way to go do it.
Correct.
And a much more enjoyable experience as well. You guys, I know, are part of agritourism, Oklahoma Agritourism, and so how can people find more information about your U-Pick, as well as others that might be around the state?
Sure. Agritourism has a wonderful site that tells about all kinds of fruit, not just blackberries, blueberries, peaches, the festivals that go on. And so I believe they have a Facebook page, but they also have a really nice web page, agritourism.com.
I believe so, yeah.
And they have done a lot in Oklahoma to help us. They've provided information that we give to people that come out and pick. And they've just been a support for our farm and many others.
Well, Darla, thanks for sharing this information. And I would encourage anybody who is around the Stillwater area or make a day trip up here to North 40 Blackberries, because you guys have a lot ready to go this season. Thank you so much. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.